Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me. I just got this out of the box and got the plastic wrap off, and yeah, they're the new Caran d'Ache NeoArts. I'm very excited. I got a great deal at Blick. They were on like a special, so the whole set was like about $100. I don't know how long it was running for, but I grabbed it right away, and of course it went on back order, and so I had to wait and wait and wait. But now I finally got them. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to swatch these out, and then we're going to do a little picture. All right, we got the paper out. This is a Stillman's and Burns sketchbook beta series. And so let's go ahead and see what these colors look like. This is Primrose, and I'll give you a close-up after we get them all swatched. Lemon Yellow, Yellow, Golden Cadmium Yellow Hue, Orange, Cornella, Permanent Red, Scarlet, Anthracnone Carmine. That's a mouthful. And of course I mispronounce all of these like usual. Perline Maroon, Purplish Red, Violet, Dark Indigo, Night Blue, Ultramarine, Ice Blue, Dark Phthalo Green, Dark English Green, Cobalt Green, Grass Green, Spring Green, Moss Green, Olive Brown, 50%, Raw Umber, Light Malachite Green. Look how pretty that one is. Crystal Coal Blue. Another one I completely said wrong. Cobalt Blue 10%. Cobalt Blue 5%. Manganese Violet. Violet Gray. That's an interesting one. rose or violet pink. They have like 3 languages on them, so sometimes it takes me a second. Burnt ochre, 10%. White we will skip, and we will go for silver gray. Payne's gray, 30%. Slate gray. Black. Nice dark black. Sepia. Burnt sienna. Sangre. Terracotta. Love those colors. Saffron. Brown ochre. Ochre. Burnt ochre. Here, look, something, something red. Butternut. And a bismuth white, which you can probably barely see. All right, let me zoom in so you can see the colors up close. It's a really pretty palette. I think they did a really nice job at their first launch, if they're going to launch more colors, at this being at least a complete palette. Now, a lot of people said that they compared them to NeoColor 1 and NeoColor 2, so let me grab a couple of those and see how they felt as a comparison. Okay, so I went ahead and I got ultramarine in all 3. And so I'm just going to take the feel of them. These glide. You can tell that they have like more oil to them. They glide really smoothly. They are a harder feel, but they're a very smooth feel. They don't grip very hard on the paper. They just kind of slick over it. NeoColor 1 compared to grabs a lot more. They're softer, but you can actually feel them grabbing onto the paper more. They're not as slick. And look at how different those colors are in ultramarines. And this is Neo 2. Wow, talk about how different the colors look. Definitely more oil in the new NeoArts. These Neo 2s are the softest, and Neo 1s come in next as softness, but these have the slickest feel to them. So if you like a slipperier feel, you definitely will like the NeoArts. Let me show you a couple of things that I went ahead and... So in my little sketchbook here, I used the NeoArts as a topper over my watercolor a little bit on the yellows, on the reds, and I just went ahead and it went over watercolor beautifully, and I continued that. Let me see. I'm doing the Leslie Stoltz 100, I hope I said her name right, 100 tiny paintings in a year, and I did the toppers on this, the little bit of whites, and the whites shows up really good over watercolors. And this was mostly done in the NeoArts. There's a little bit of pencil work for the outlines, but it was kind of my first run at using them kind of in a larger space and seeing how they blend. And I didn't have any problem blending it. I think it turned out pretty cute, especially for such a tiny little painting. So now I went ahead and I sketched out this, and we're going to see if these pastels can do pretty much a whole painting. We might use a little bit of pencils at the end to do a couple of details, but yeah, let's give it a shot and see how these work in a painting. All right, so I have our experiment all set up, got our crayons in a little cup here. I went ahead and I taped the edges and I put some masking fluid on the places I'd like to keep a little lighter because I think these are going to be pretty opaque. Got some little blending kind of rubber tips and got some Dorland's wax medium, which I hear will blend it out. So let's go ahead and get started and give this a try. I know that the masking might not work very well, but we're going to go ahead and give it a shot while we do some sky in here. And I'm hoping the Dorland's wax will blend this out so we can kind of get a nice gradation here. It's kind of looking a little, I wanted to get kind of close without coloring it in. We'll see how it goes. It's always fun and kind of a little scary to test out new supplies because you're never sure exactly how things are going to work. You know, it's a little intimidating too when you're videotaping stuff. I don't want to show you ugly stuff, but if it doesn't turn out well, the sunsets here in Arizona are phenomenal, very phenomenal. They have so many colors in them. Go ahead and keep my crayons out that I'm using. The masking fluid so far is holding up. I didn't know if it would be pushed right off with this or anything. I find that these are very, very smooth. And we're going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit. Okay, I got some colors laid down and I'm going to continue to keep layering and layering. And then we'll try blending out the sky and see how that'll work. Two layers seem to be blending it in pretty well. I'm going to continue. Okay, the sky is looking, well, not so hot. So first up, I'm going to try this, which is kind of a stiff rubber thing. And then I have a couple that are a little bit softer, and we're gonna see if this will work out. They are blending and getting pushed into the paper. By the way, this is a Hanamula tinted sketchbook. And I am pushing a bit, and it is going into the grain of the paper, but they don't move like far across the paper. They kind of mush into where they're at. And you can see one side to the other, they are smushing quite a bit and getting smoother and smoother. But I'm going to continue with this, and then we'll try a little bit of something else and adding even more. Well, I think I got it as blended as best with about 2 layers down using just this. But I did notice that I had to keep wiping this off because it would start smudging some of the darker colors into some of the other colors, and I think it could use a little more blending with this. But after I go ahead and do the rest of this, oh, and this did pull off a lot of the masking fluid. So the crayons didn't, oddly enough, but this did, because obviously it rubbed it right off. And so I'm going to go ahead and start doing some of the colors down here, blend it as best we can, and then we're going to try the wax medium and see how that blends everything, see what we come up with. I want to leave some of the paper, I think, so we'll see how that looks, as well as when we don't put such a heavy application down. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to start taking off the masking fluid that survived and start working on those, and then I will test to see how a little bit of pencil actually can be put on top of this for the thinner coats and the thicker coats. Really messy actually. So let's go ahead and try and do these cactuses a little bit. I'm actually going to do them a little lighter so I can do a little pencil in there. When I rubbed off the masking fluid, it wanted to take some of the crayon with it, so that was not fun. So I started this about a day ago and they still are very smudgy, so they have not set. On the smaller picture I did, it didn't quite. I'm not normally a pastel or crayon person. I just like playing around, and I usually use them as a topper. They do go on top of each other quite nicely. And they are quite opaque, so they are covering up a lot of the ink. But pencil, I think, would have made a mess out of this with all the... You could use colored pencil, I suppose, and that would probably do a little better. All right, let's get some pencils and see how those go over. I'm going to be using a little luminance since I think that they're going to be compatible, but we shall see. And since I did a light coat on these, they are going over quite easily. fuzzy things. Sorry, there was a big truck driving by. I don't know if you could have heard that or not. I've got so many things out on the desk I can barely even put my arms. They are a little sloshy when they start getting thick like this. I feel like the pencil is doing more pushing than it is an actual coloring. But hopefully doing this you could see many things that they can actually do. And now I'm going to try scratching into some of this thicker stuff, which does work. I noticed that the pencil was almost taking off some of it. And now it's Dorland wax time. We'll go ahead and see if this blends it a little better or smoother or does nothing at all. And I'm just using a Q-tip and I'm just gonna put a little in there. I feel like it's almost taking off some of the color. And it's definitely spreading it into other parts. Like there. I don't even have very much on here. Let's see. I think I'm making a big smudgy mess is what I'm making with that. All right, let me go ahead and add a few more details and we'll take a look. All right, that's about as far as I think I'm going to go on here. I think I've tried just about everything. Personally, I think I had a hard time doing a whole picture with these except for a little bit of pencil detail on the top. The pencil can go over a thin coat, not over a thick coat. It just pushes it out of the way. You might as well just use a scraper on it. The Dorland's wax worked, but it's going to make a big smudge, and I don't think you're going to be able to put much over the top of that. It's kind of messy. They do move and smudge for quite some time. I don't know if these are going to dry down. I'll have to update you. Masking fluid did work against the crayons. It did prevent. Tape worked beautifully and held its border really nice and crisp. And I will experiment more, but they're probably going to be used as a topper over watercolor or underneath for a large area using pencil as well. I hope this helped. I hope this helps you decide on whether or not you need to get a few colors of these or not. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.